Section 3. Managing Multiple Networks. In this section, we will explore network gateways in Lesson 3.1, followed by LAN segregation in 3.2, and in Lesson 3.3, we will selectively join our LAN networks, and then in Lesson 4, we will explore how and why a demilitarized zone, or DMZ, works. In this video, we will configure network gateways and static routes. What is a network gateway, and why would we need more than one? All networks require a gateway if they are going to send information out of the network and upstream to another network. This gateway performs the routing functions, telling traffic how to get from the internal network to the external network. Additional gateways allow selective routing of traffic. This technique can be used to pass traffic to a secure network, and gateways may also be combined to enable greater overall network throughput. Most scenarios that use multiple gateways are complex and use case specific. Therefore, we're going to use a quick, contrived example simply to demonstrate the effect and define some of the vocabulary and show the pfSense interfaces to gateways and routing. We will begin by creating a new gateway that is on our local area network along with our Ubuntu installation, and then we will create two static routes to route traffic away from our default gateway and through the new gateway, and then we will verify that the traffic is actually being passed along those routes rather than going out through the default gateway. We'll begin at the dashboard as always, where you can see that I have configured the available widgets with panels that will be useful to us during this section, including the gateways panel, the firewall logs, the interfaces, which you can see all four are still up, and using the configured static IP for our wide area network, and our addressing scheme for the local area and optional networks. And I've also gone ahead and put in the traffic graph for the wide area network and the LAN. Those widgets are all available right here, so simply click on one of those to install them into your dashboard if you like. The work that we do in this video will take place in the System menu under the Routing category, and we will also be looking at the System logs under the Status menu, and in the Diagnostics menu we will watch what's happening with our routes under the Routes page. Our first priority will be to create a new gateway. So in the System menu on the Routing page, you will see that it lists our default gateway that we created while installing pfSense. Looking at this gateways page, you will see that all of the defaults are in place, and our default gateway is the default gateway on our upstream network, otherwise known as our host network in VirtualBox. Going back to the gateways page, we're going to add a new gateway. For this lesson, I have installed another machine on the same internal network in VirtualBox as our Ubuntu client, which we are using now. Using additional gateways and static routes is actually a fairly sophisticated use case, and if you have need for one, then you will know it. Because of the specific purposes, it can be difficult to create a hypothetical situation for use as a demonstration. To demonstrate how additional gateways and static routes work, I have created a new Ubuntu server instance on the same VBox internal network as our Ubuntu client that we have been using. On this Ubuntu server, I have installed Quagga, which is a routing daemon capable of providing routing and gateway management using several protocols. The setup of this software is beyond the scope of our course. However, it is important to note that this router has been assigned a dynamic address of 172.16 on our local internet network in VirtualBox, which means that it and Ubuntu are technically sharing the same virtual network interface card that performs as the switch and router for the LAN internet network. If you would like to set up Quagga and try this on your own, I will briefly show the configuration files that are being used by Quagga, and you can see those here. We have the daemons file, the open shortest path first daemon, and the Zebra service. All of these services are running, and you can view their configuration files and inspect them at your leisure if you so desire. With our router thusly configured, we will move back to pfSense and add a new gateway. Now, if you wish to disable this gateway, you can always check this box here, and that will enable you to take it out of service without removing it from your configuration. We need to select the interface that it's on and note that the gateway needs to be on the same network that is going to be using it, unless you are using a special configuration such as dial-up PPP server or some such other configuration, and there is a checkbox down here at the bottom in the Advanced tab that will allow you to use a non-local gateway, which would be on the other side of the gateway. So we've selected the LAN interface, which is where the Ubuntu server with the additional routing software has been installed. We'll leave it at IP4, give the gateway a name such as LAN GW to match the default gateway's naming, and we'll give it an IP address that is the address assigned by DHCP on our local area network. Note that you obviously want to give any gateway that you may be installing in a real-world situation a static IP address. You can disable gateway monitoring and disable the gateway monitoring action, which will mark the gateway as up all the time. You would typically not want to do this, however, it does provide the option. Here we have a monitor IP, so if we wanted to monitor a different address other than the gateway address, we would enter that here. The reason you might do this is because making a connection to the gateway does not necessarily imply that you can get through that gateway to where you're attempting to route that traffic. So for instance, you might use a specific gateway to access Google. If you do that, you may want to actually monitor the Google IP address to make sure that that link is alive in case your gateway is dependent on some other service. For instance, it may be going through a different type of internet connection, such as dial-up or fiber optic. And if you want to force the gateway to be marked as down, you can do that by checking this checkbox as well. The forcing of the state and the disabling of gateway monitoring actions are things you probably only want to do under diagnostic circumstances. And we will give this a meaningful description as always. To display or inspect the advanced options of your gateway, you can use this blue button, and you'll be able to set a lot of specific information for your gateway, such as the weight, which is 1 through 30, and that would be used if you have a gateway group to proportion how much traffic each gateway gets. The additional settings here are not going to be of importance to our course and would be tweaked, say, perhaps if you have a dial-up connection, satellite connection, or some other connection that has connection properties which are a little more dynamic than your standard cable or hardwired connection. There's a very nice explanation here of how all of these options interrelate. For now, we're just going to hit save, and you will see that we now have a new gateway on the LAN interface with an IP address on our LAN network and all of the other settings that we have set. Now, all on its own, this gateway is not going to serve much purpose unless we decide to route some traffic through it. So before we apply the changes, we're going to go ahead and create a static route to Google using the address returned from a ping and then making it a little more generic and bumping it up to the 16 subnet. So any address matching 172.217 and then anything after that will match for this static route. We'll choose the local gateway that we have created on our internal network rather than the default wide area network gateway, and we'll give this a meaningful description. Before we apply the changes, we'll pop over to a terminal and take a look at what happens when we run a trace route to Google right now. And all we really need are the first two hops. So we will see that our first hop goes to the pfSense installation on the LAN interface, and the second hop goes to the upstream gateway on the host computer's network. Going back to pfSense, we will go ahead and apply these changes to bring the static route active, and we will perform the trace route one more time. And now you can see that our first hop is the pfSense box where it hits the static route and is redirected back to the router on the local area network, which you can see that it is accessing. Now that we have confirmed the traffic to Google is passing through the gateway, we can take a look at how simply you can disable that effect simply by clicking the disable button and applying the changes. Then go back and run another trace route to Google, and you will see that it is going over on its second hop to the upstream gateway. If we re-enable the rule and apply the changes and try that trace route again, you will see that we're going back to the router on the local area network of the pfSense installation. Now that we have a functional additional gateway with a static route, we can take a look at gateway groups. To create a gateway group, simply click the Add button on the Gateway Groups contextual page, and here you can provide a name for your gateway as well as set the priority for the gateways. You can give them different tiers. You will notice that it has picked up our pre-installed, pre-configured gateways, and you can configure how they are applied to the gateway group in this section. You can separate these into tiers and groups and prioritize traffic in them for a variety of circumstances in a variety of ways. However, we do not have multiple gateways upstream going to any interesting places, so we're going to leave that section there and possibly pick it up in our next course. One additional item of note is that in the default gateway section, you'll notice that now that we have more than one gateway, we can choose between those. So if, for instance, we wanted all traffic to go through the LAN gateway by default, we could switch this and hit save. However, that is not what we want to do. What we're actually going to do is remove our additional gateway, which we will be prevented from doing because there is a static route which uses it. As you can see, pfSense is always very nice and does its best to prevent us from breaking our configuration wherever it can. So we will delete the route we've created and then go back to the gateways and remove that gateway from our list of gateways and apply the changes. And now all of our network traffic is going back over the default wide area network gateway. With our routing table and gateway thusly configured, we can take a look at the diagnostic of the routing table under the diagnostic menus and routes. And the first thing we'll be able to do is enable or disable name resolution, which can cause quite a bit of backup if there's a lot of routing going on to and from named or even more specifically unnamed host names, as in fully qualified domain names that do not have a reverse lookup available. That will make that lookup wait until the timeout has been reached before it's able to translate that into a name. So best to avoid that unless you really need it. In the route table itself, you'll see the destination the gateway being used, flags of that route, the packets in use or that have been used over that route, the maximum transmission unit for the route, and the network interface that the route lies on. And if it's a dynamic route, the expiration time. The destinations, you'll see we have one for each subnet of the pfSense machine, as well as one for each individual interface's gateway, and those gateways are link and their number, which means that it is one of the actual interfaces assigned to the machine, as opposed to our default gateway has an IP address, and that is on the upstream network. In the flags area, the U represents up or usable, the G represents gateway, the S means that it was added statically. So if you don't have an S, you might have a D for dynamic, in which case you would have an expiration over here. And there's also H for host. If it's not an H or a G, then it'll be a network. And if it's not a U, you'll have an R, which means rejected, or the network or host of the gateway cannot be found. And that gateway would thusly be marked down. Looking further down the list, you can see the gateway that we have created is down here, assigned to these two routes, which would be the default route to the upstream neighboring network and the statically assigned route for the Google subnet. So you can see those there, and you can see how many packets have gone over that gateway connection, which is currently 0 because our ICMP packets that we used in traceroute did not apply towards that bandwidth. Down below, you'll see IPv6 routes, and although we have all of the IP6 on pfSense currently disabled, you can see that none of them have been used, and it still has a list of routes for each of these interfaces anyways. Those are not listed anywhere, they're just hard linked routes that are there because the interface cards are there and capable of IP6. And that covers the information in the diagnostic routing page.